Oh, good morning. And I have to apologize. Yesterday's video was super late, and I'll explain why as I'm laying out the cards here. But yesterday I had finished the reading and sat down at the computer. I had the video rendering, so that's the when I say it's baking down, that's what I mean. And I get a text. It's from work, asking me if I could be in at 10 o'clock a.m. instead of 11. It was 10:03. So I'm sitting there looking completely dumbfounded at this text. And no kidding, I'm thinking, yeah, as soon as I build a time machine with a teleporter, kind of built into it, I'll be right there. But I ended up having to, and here's the thing, the video completed the rendering right about the time I had to leave. I sent out an emergency message. I don't think it got out to every platform, but I did end up uploading it, late as it was. And if it came a little too late, I apologize. But unfortunately, day job has to come first, so this is one of those instances of that happening. So I apologize if the message came a little late. Just to kind of sorry. There we go. There we are. Alright, so we've been dealing with a lot of paranoia lately. In fact, we've been dealing with a lot of paranoia in the last 2-3 years. We're still dealing with a lot of it. And it's settled in, not just to not just in the realm of sickness or anything like that, but in just about every realm you can think of. And we're not talking, I wonder if the neighbor's out to get me. I'm talking full-blown hysterical panic. Let me tell you a little something. I have purchased hysteria twice. And both times Def Leppard's name was attached to it. I'm going to let that sink in, and if you need to Google it, Quant it, Start Page it, DuckDuckGo it, or whatever, feel free. Anyway. Also, if you haven't already, I was on the Basic Experts channel. That is in the link in the description below. Like I said in the last video, it was a very laid-back atmosphere, and it always is. So I felt very, felt very welcome, felt very comfortable, and talked very openly. And there's going to be some language that you've heard here, but there's a little more of it there, So I hope you will check that out. And how about we get down to it, shall we? I think we should. Because I've got plenty of time. I just want to make sure we get this all out in the open. Anyway, starting with you today. Freya. So, the goddess of love and war and passion coming into play today. What do you love the most? What is that one thing that you won't give up? Here lately for me it's books. I love books. I always have. I've hit a spell where I just didn't read for a very long time. Now I'm reading again. And it feels wonderful. Feels just like it was when I would look at really thick, 300-page novels and go, oh, that's way too much. And then a friend of mine, I will never forget his name, Michael Winters. I was probably about in the 4th grade. He hands me a Hardy Boys book and he goes, I think you'll like this. And at first I was like, no thanks, but I'm good. He's like, no, seriously, take it home, read it. I think you're going to love it. You can return it when you're done. So I took it home and I began reading it. And from that point forward I was hooked. There was no book too big for me to read. There was no book too offensive for me to say that should be banned. That's why I love books. I love role-playing game books. I love the spiritual books that are sitting on my shelf. I love the many other books that are sitting on the shelf on the hutch of my desk. I got a big old stack of books like over this way that they don't have a shelf. They don't have anywhere for me to put them. So I stacked them on a little table in the corner. Got books on shelves everywhere. Love them. What is that one thing for you? Let's go on to the guide. Scotty. So, this is where compromise comes into play. Seems this message is flowing pretty nicely. So, remember we've talked about compromise. Compromise means these 2 stones that serve as kind of our protective barrier, our ring ropes, if you will, if you're into WWE and AEW. That means they meet here. This one does not go all the way over to this one. This one does not go all the way over to this one. You can compromise, but you cannot compromise too much. There is such a thing as too much in this kind of deal, in this concept. That's important. Here lately, I'll give you, tabletop role-playing games again. Here lately, there have been a series of books that Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Dungeons and Dragons since the year I graduated high school, have released that I've had objections to them. And when I say I have objections to them, I mean they do not appeal to me. In many cases, in my view, and I'm not going to go into great detail why, that is a discussion for later, and you can find all kinds of people discussing it. The people who are currently writing have inherited an intellectual property that they have no respect for. And they have done everything they can to sanitize it and sort of Disneyfy it. And that is something I won't stand for. So I don't buy those books. I don't want to see them banned. I don't want to see them go away, but I won't buy them. And then there are people who say, well, just leave out the parts you don't like. Okay. So, I'm not going to give my edgiest take. I did that on Twitter last night. I'll give you a take that I think is fair. Okay, so now if I'm to spend $50 on a book, and that is suggested retail price on one of those books, if I'm to spend that, and I run the risk of using about 10% of it, that's sort of like buying a band's entire boxed collection for one song. There's no value in it for me. But if I'm going to do something like that, then I'm going to require that you purchase a book to which you have objections, and then just take out whatever you don't like. And my edgiest take was, there's a game called Mifarog by a very certain person. Okay, if I'm going to purchase this book, say, I don't know, trying to think of one, Strixhaven. And Strixhaven is like a magical, sort of like a school, right? And that's what it's all built around. If I am to purchase that for $50 and strip it and hack it and do all that, then perhaps someone arguing that I should purchase that $10 book, Mifrog, and just take out the parts they don't like. There's no difference there, ladies and gentlemen. That's fair. Fair is fair, right? We're both requiring each other to do something to which we object. Or, fair is fair. I won't buy that one, you don't buy the other one. Easy. It's not hard. And I'm not arguing for that other book. Not arguing for it at all. In fact, I have major issues with that. Alright, so we have Ivaz. Here we go with flexibility. The U tree rune, right? This one. Have that flexibility, we have that we are transitioning into something new. We're moving. And that's where we start. This is our current situation. We're growing. And that needs to happen. We go over to Algiz. So now we go from transition into awakening. Now this is a protective rune, but it's also about awakening the senses, awakening your intuition. Wake up. Don't be woke, be awakened. Right? What's the difference? Just see the world for what it is. See the world around you for what it is. And call it like what it is. Not like what you want to see. Right? Remember, yesterday we talked about approaching things with a very calm mind, a childlike sense of wonder, and mastery over our thoughts. We talked about that. Anything else is going to be disastrous. Now, that video has only been up about maybe 8 hours or so. But I can tell you this, it's gotten my average views. So I think it's fair to say that if you haven't seen it, you can go back and watch it. But now we're going from our growth period, or that transitional period, into a period of awakening, where we're starting to see things that we're saying, hey, wait a minute, hold on, that's not right. Or, hey, whoa, that's a great idea. Or, hey, I can modify that idea, and I think I can make it a little better. Let me try something. We're slowly kind of coming into that. And then to cap it all off, because this is our action, we do need to wake up. We do need to see the world around us. We can enjoy success with Algiz. And then we have Berkano, the healing. Very simply put, when it's something you love, let me put it this way. I will talk to any tarot reader. I will talk to any tabletop role player. I will disagree with any tarot reader or intuitive. I will disagree with any tabletop role player. But my love of those two things should overshadow my irrational fear or just that air of like disdain for that point of view to the person, to where I just literally shut that person off. That's the key thing. That's what we really need right now. Does your love of, say, tea overshadow your dislike for the way someone looks, for example? Better example. If you're sitting down to a cup of tea with someone who votes differently from you, does your love of having that morning tea with someone else overshadow that? Or does your disdain for the way they vote mean they're not welcome at your table? Because let me tell you something, right now, that's not where healing begins. Your love of this object here, of sharing that moment, it should overshadow everything else. And when you're in a group of people like that, then that's when the real diversity happens organically. You'll just notice a whole mix of different people. You'll have your inclusion. Like I said, it'll happen organically. They're just right there. That kind of happens when you're not being a total dickhead. And that's where real compromise can begin. That's when real progress can be made. That's where real transition, growth, and healing can happen. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you all. I hope I make that clear. I really do. Because I don't know how to say it enough. Take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up. Every opportunity you get. And as always, my friends, shine on.